there. It's day 4 of my Gerson reboot, and I'm doing a lot better today than I was yesterday. I wasn't feeling too perky yesterday. I ended up having 5 juices and 2 coffee breaks, and I just took it easy. When all of a sudden things started not feeling so good in my tummy, and I said, "Uh-oh, I need to slow down here a little bit." So I didn't continue with any more juices after the 5th juice, and I started drinking peppermint tea, and that helps settle things down. And I could have a little dinner last night, and I took that sweet potato dish, and it was delicious. It was so good. It had a really nice, having the apples baked in there with it was really tasty. And I put a lot of raisins in. And the cranberries, it just had a nice dynamic, and it would be great for Thanksgiving. It'd be a really nice dish for Thanksgiving. And the funny thing is, I took it to a potluck. It was a Thanksgiving potluck, and I had put the purple and the orange sweet potatoes in there, and people didn't know those were purple sweet potatoes. They'd never seen them, so they thought they were beets. And you came back to the pot, and everybody had picked out the orange sweet potato and left the beet sweet potatoes in there. And I got a kick because those are my favorite. I like the way they taste, so I got the leftovers to bring home and have the purple sweet potatoes. But so you might want to think about fixing that dish for Thanksgiving or for a holiday you have coming up, because it's something you can eat and other people would enjoy it too. So that was yesterday on day 3. Now today I'm in the mood for awesome sauce, and I haven't made any in a while. I finally have squash and tomatoes, and I can do it. And I'm making it in my Instant Pot, and I thought this is a good recipe to show you what an Instant Pot, how it acts, what it does, how handy they are. And an Instant Pot, if you're not familiar with it, can be both a slow cooker or a pressure cooker. It can make yogurt. It can saute. In fact, I have it on saute right now, which means it's going to be hot, and I'm going to toss some stuff in there and get it going. But I don't use it for a pressure cooker. In Gerson, we're not allowed to pressure cook, but we can slow cook, and I like it for the slow cooker because it's got the stainless steel lining instead of a glazed crock. And they have found, a number of studies have found that the glazed crocks that come in a number of the slow cookers have a little bit of lead. And if you contact the company, they say, well, it has an acceptable level. There's no such thing as an acceptable level of lead. There is no acceptable level of lead. So if they're saying something like that, you know you shouldn't be using a crock with a glazed liner. And that's why I use this, because of the stainless steel. And it's nice because it comes out and I can wash it. And I like this too because it has a great lid. Oops. It has this lid with this gasket, and it actually locks on. So when I'm traveling, I take soup to people and things like that. I can put something in here that sloshes around, and I can lock the lid on, and I know it's not going to slop out in the car, which is really, that's handy. In fact, I even have gone so far as to get an adapter for the cigarette lighter in my car that allows you to plug things in. And I have been known to plug in a crock pot into my car and have it cook while I'm driving. So you just never know what you can come up with. So anyhow, tonight I'm making my awesome sauce. I'm not going to stop and demonstrate everything because I already have a video out about how to do the awesome sauce. What I do want you to know, I always felt bad about this. I forgot to mention the bay leaf in the recipe. And where is my bay leaf? I wanted you to know that this little guy is really important. So if you're making the awesome sauce, don't forget to put 1 bay leaf in. And then you take it out when you go to puree it. You don't puree it in there. Now, there's an old wives' tale. And it's funny because it's come up that somebody said, oh, you can't eat bay leaves. Bay leaves are poisonous. They're not poisonous. Somebody was told at one point, take the bay leaf out. You shouldn't eat the bay leaf. And then probably somebody said, oh, I wonder why you shouldn't eat the bay leaf. And probably said, oh, it's probably poisonous. It's not poisonous. If it was poisonous, we couldn't put it in the first place. What it is it's stiff, and it's almost like plasticky. It's stiff. And if you were to bite it and chew it and eat it, it would be very unpleasant. And that's why you want to take it out. Nobody wants to be chawing on this stiff little plastic-like leaf, okay? It's not that it's bad for you, it's unpleasant, okay? It'd be like having pine needles in there. You don't want to be chewing on pine needles. So, put it in, let it cook with it, take it out, and then puree it, okay? So now, I've got I'm making actually a small batch. Normally, I use 2.5 to 3 pounds of tomatoes, 2.5 to 3 pounds of squash, and I don't eat like I used to, which is probably a good thing. And I'm just cutting back. So this is more like 1.5 pounds of squash, 1.5 pounds of tomatoes. I still did a whole onion, and I still did a whole bulb of garlic, because I love onion and garlic, and to me, the more the better. You can't have too much. And I have my Instant Pot was set on saute, so I can just toss everything in there and get it started, which is really nice before I get the other stuff in there. So that's getting started. And I wanted to show you a neat little trick. I just figured this out a few minutes ago. On the other half of the bottom of my squash, you know how there's that seeds and the goop and stuff in there? I was having a real hard time getting it out. I was using a spoon, and it just didn't want to come out. It was too slippery or stiff or something. You know what I did? I went and got the spoon that you use for grapefruit. Now this one has little serrations on the edge. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the little serrations on there? So it acts like a little knife. If you had one of those curved grapefruit knives, that would work too. But I got in there and I was able to scrape right away with that. And I thought, oh, that's a nifty little trick. And then, of course, if I learn something new, I have to teach you too. There we go. And that just comes out slicker than a whistle. There you go. How do you like that? I just thought that was great. I'm surprised it didn't come up before. But we got it now, so we're good to go. Now here's another little thing. I think I mentioned it in the other recipe, but I'm not sure. And if I didn't, I want you to know it now. And that is, you're going to put the tomatoes in the bottom of the pot, because the tomatoes are going to provide your liquid. They'll start to cook down and create the liquid, and then that liquid's going to be what cooks the squash. I made the mistake once of putting the squash in the bottom and the tomatoes on the top, and it didn't work. It took so long. I finally had to stir it up to get it going. The moisture from the tomatoes in the bottom really makes a big difference. Ah, boy, you can tell these are not nice summer tomatoes. They're firm and pink. Not my favorite kind, but you know what? It all works out in the end. Having the squash in there makes a big difference for giving it a little more body and a little different flavor. This has been a really popular recipe, and this is my own thing. I'm glad people like it. It's nice to have an original recipe. I don't know, it's some crazy amount of views, something like 43,000 views. I don't know, it's a lot, whatever it is. And I want you to know, for those of you who are watching this as it goes along, thank you for posting questions down below, because you're giving me ideas for things I can do as we go along with this. Because as you know, as each day goes by, I want to be helpful. So tomorrow, somebody asked the question about your enema bucket equipment. I will address that tomorrow. We will talk about the bucket, the equipment, and how to clean it. So if that's something you've been wondering about, we will be talking about that tomorrow on day 5, okay? And now I've got my tomatoes in there. I'm going to give it a little stir. The onions are all sauteed and the garlic sauteed. It smells good too. I just was in the mood. I haven't made it all fall. It's about time. Okay, now this is ground thyme. Normally I use the whole leaf thyme, and I use 1.5 teaspoons. Because it's ground, it's more compact, so I'm going to use more like 1/2 teaspoon. I don't want to knock my socks off with it. There. And that's going to be good. And then I'm going to use the full 1.5 teaspoons of rosemary. I really think the rosemary is sort of the secret ingredient. You wouldn't expect that to be in there, but it does give it a nice flavor. And I'm putting that on top of the tomatoes. And now I'm putting, oh, I better put that bay leaf in there. I don't want to forget that. Get down in there. There we go. And now the squash. I'm putting the squash on top of the tomatoes. And it sort of steams and slow cooks all at the same time. It's nice. Now, here's the lid. Now here, this is, I know people can sometimes be afraid of pressure cookers. I love it because it's so handy. And even though I'm not using it as a pressure cooker, just to remind you, but this is how the lid works. If you were to use a pressure cooker, this can come off and you have no pressure, or I turn it to what's called venting. Venting is having it pushed towards the front, and that lets the pressure out so that I can use this as a slow cooker and not have the pressure. Now it's venting, and I'm going to turn it off because I don't want it to saute anymore. Instead, I want it to slow cook, and I'm going to turn it back on again, and I'm going to set it for slow cook. And I want to reduce the amount of time. It's a small batch. I think 2 hours would be plenty. So I'm going to set it for 2 hours. There. And I might take a peek at it after an hour and a half and see how it's doing. But I don't think it'll take too long just because it's a smaller batch. It's already simmering. I can hear it. So that's it. I just wanted you to know I'm doing well with my protocol, with my reboot. I think I'm going to amp up my juices again tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I'll see if I can get up to 8 tomorrow. 5, I know this morning I was still feeling a little funny in my tummy, but this afternoon I'm feeling better. I think, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I think it had something to do with the oatmeal. Because there was one other time I had this happen when I was still doing the Gerson therapy. And I had quinoa for dinner one night, and I pigged out. It tasted so good. I just ate more than we're allowed to. Okay, we're supposed to have like a half-cup serving. I didn't have a half-cup serving. I probably had a cup or a cup and a half. I pigged out on it. And then that night, things started backing up. I started not feeling good. The tummy didn't feel good. I ended up throwing up all night long, and it was the detox. It was toxins. And all that quinoa came back up. And I think it was too hard for it to get through my system, fast enough so that when the toxins are coming out that your liver's releasing and your gallbladder's releasing into your digestive tract, it all goes, when your body gets rid of toxins, it puts it into your digestive tract. And having all that quinoa in there kept it from moving out. So it kind of backed up, and that's why I had a rough night. It was a really rough night. And I didn't want that happening again. And I think it might have been because I had a bowl of oatmeal yesterday. Well, I haven't had oatmeal in a while. And this was the steel cut oats. It tasted very good. But it was, a little harder to digest perhaps. I don't know. I just know that after I had the oatmeal and started drinking the juices, I felt that feeling. And I didn't want to go there again. Once was enough for that experience. But it was, I have the 20/20 hindsight now of recognizing when things feel funny and what that means and how to address it. So having stopping the juices, drinking the peppermint tea. I still drink my Hippocrates soup. I made sure I had extra soup. I wanted to make sure I had my liquids in. I just didn't want extra juices because that's pushing the toxins out. And I do a lot of the green juices, and those are, I think, to me, extra powerful. Carrot juices, to me, seem to be more healing. Green juices tend to be more detoxing. At least that's how it works for me. I'd be curious to know if that's how it works for you, too. Well, anyhow, I'm going to scoot because this is getting to be a long video, and people don't like to watch long videos. So, we'll see you tomorrow, day 5, and we'll see if we can come up with a new recipe tomorrow. Oh, no. Going to be doing enema buckets tomorrow. All right, see you tomorrow.